often is it if it's IELTS on paper, and how frequent is the examination conducted for IELTS on computer, and what's the main advantage of taking IELTS on computer? Greetings to our online reviewees from 142 countries worldwide. Since 2006, we have noticed a lot of changes in IELTS, OET, PTE, TOEFL, CELPIP. But a remarkable innovation was introduced in 2019, and that's IELTS on computer. This 2023, we have noticed that more than 80% of our passers made it with IELTS on computer. That's why for this particular episode of 9.09ers YouTube and TikTok channel, we have Sir Brian Martin Shawson and Sir Pheelyp Edward Aitona to talk about the advantages of taking IELTS on computer. And who knows, you might be our next passer for IELTS on computer. If you have not subscribed, please make sure that you do, because we have more than 150 videos to help you pass various English examinations like IELTS, OET, PTE, TOEFL, and CELPIP. And our YouTube channel also features various content regarding grammar, vocabulary, accent neutralization, and pronunciation. So let's begin with the greetings of our two senior lecturers. Sir Brian, would you like to greet our live audience and subscribers?
Good day to all of our live subscribers and also our viewers on Facebook and our audience from YouTube and TikTok. Hello, my name is Brian. I'm one of the senior lecturers of 9.09er.
And what about Sir Pheelyp?
Hello as well to everybody who's joining us live, and for those who will be watching this recorded, my name is Pheelyp Aitona. I'm also another senior lecturer here at Niner.
So before we start with the first bullet point, I'd like to encourage everyone to ask questions. Yes, because after the video is uploaded on our page, I get to respond to all of the questions. So make sure that you participate. And if you think the content is helpful, please pay it forward by sharing to your friends who have plans of taking the various English examinations. Sir Pheelyp, what's the main advantage of taking IELTS on computer?
There are so many, Sir Ervin, but the first thing that comes to mind is how frequently the exam is held. Unlike in the paper-based test, which in some locations I hear is only once every 3 or 4 months, how often are the computer-based tests held?
Okay, to give our audience an idea, in the Philippines in particular, there are 32, that's 32 key cities nationwide where IELTS on paper is available. Maximum of 4 times a month in Metro Manila, but in most provinces, every other month, or sometimes once every 3 months or once every 4 months. But when IELTS on computer was introduced, in Metro Manila, the examination is available every day. Right now, there are 18 cities, that's 18 cities, where IELTS on computer is available nationwide. And 9.09er and the British Council make it possible for the examination to be available to the nearest province or nearest city. So we'd like to ask Sir Brian here to compare the frequency. Like, how often is it if it's IELTS on paper, and how frequent is the examination conducted for IELTS on computer, and also the several sessions in a day?
When you're taking IELTS on paper, one of the disadvantages certainly is that you would not be able to take the examination every day. So if you are very busy or occupied, you have a lot of commitments, you will definitely need to allocate maybe a day or probably even 2 days to take your paper delivered exam. But when you're taking IELTS on computer, especially here in Metro Manila, there's an IELTS on computer test every day. So from Mondays to Sundays, and you can even pick your sessions. There's the speaking session in the afternoon, and you can pick whatever schedule you want. Usually the tests here in Metro Manila are held from 9 o'clock till 12 for the written exams, and in the afternoon you have your speaking exams. So it's just one full day for your IELTS speaking test and your IELTS written exams for IELTS on computer.
So Sir Brian earlier emphasized that for IELTS on paper, maximum of 4 times a month in Metro Manila, and there's always the morning session for that one. But for IELTS on computer, 9.09er is the official testing center. So take note, we are not just a review center. People also come to us to take the IELTS examination. Even non-Niner reviewees are welcome to take the examination in our facility. And if you can see the upgrade of our facility, this is our main branch, Picampa, España, Manila, where the examination is available 7 days a week. So where are we located? Near PRC Moraita, near University of Santo Tomas, near Far Eastern University. Guys, 9 a.m. to 12 noon if you choose the morning session for the written exams. And when are you going to have the speaking subtest? Same day in the afternoon. If you choose the afternoon session for the written exams, like 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., when are you going to have speaking? Definitely in the morning. But if you choose the evening session for the written exams, you're going to have speaking in the afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the guarantee if you're going to take the IELTS on computer. All 4 subtests are completed in 1 day. But apart from the beautiful city of Manila, we also have a second testing center, and that's in Makati, near Makati Medical Center, where the test is also available 7 days a week. So that's the first advantage, the frequency. 30 days a month versus 4 days a month. 30 days a month for IELTS on computer, whereas only 4 days a month for IELTS on paper. But let's move on to the second bullet point, Sir Pheelyp. What makes IELTS on computer more advantageous than IELTS on paper?
Well, the first advantage is really all about convenience with how frequently the exam is held. But the second advantage is more along the same line because of how quickly the results are released. There's a huge difference, isn't there?
Yeah, so what about IELTS on computer? How soon are the results available?
It's 3 to 5 days after you take your exam. That's really quick compared to several weeks when it comes to IELTS on paper. So if you're in a hurry to get your results because your deadlines are just the way they are, then the IELTS on computer seems to be the better option. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I think so. Because, Sir Bri, for IELTS on paper, how long are the candidates supposed to wait for the results to be out?
You will have to wait 13 calendar days. So that's almost a couple of weeks to get your paper delivered results.
Too fast.
And I know for a fact that a lot of people usually have sleepless nights while waiting for the results. There's this anxiety that's killing them. So, if you're going to take IELTS on computer, results are usually available on weekdays, which means to say, if you take the examination on Monday, voila, by Thursday, you already know if you are ready to submit that result to the embassy for your visa application. If ever you take the examination on Wednesday, the third day is Saturday, but since results are not usually released on weekends, you have to wait until Monday. That's why it's 3 to 5 days. But for IELTS on paper, no ifs, no buts. It's really 13 calendar days after the written exams. So let's move on to the next bullet point, perhaps. Another benefit why more people choose IELTS on computer.
One thing that I wasn't able to take advantage of when I was taking IELTS on paper was the ability to choose the time slot for my speaking exam. It's just something that I discovered when it was announced to me. But it's different in IELTS for computer?
Yes, that's because Sir Pheelyp and I were actually, all 3 of us took the examination sometime in 2008, 2009, when IELTS on paper was the only option. But Sir Pheelyp took his second and third English examination. There's OET version 1, OET version 2, but all 3 examinations were taken during the time when computer-based exams were not offered yet. I, for one, took the IELTS twice. One academic, one general training, one with British Council and one with IDP, but both instances were taken before the availability of IELTS on computer. But Sir Brian right here took 3 versions of the exam. IELTS on paper, PTE on computer, and IELTS on computer. So we want to emphasize that if you're going to take IELTS on computer, upon registration, upon application, you get to choose the specific time slot. So, Sir Bri, we'd like to ask, because I'm sure Niner Makati reviewees have sought your assistance in registering them for the exam. So, how possible is it for them to choose a specific time slot upon registration?
That's wonderful, because when I took the examinations back then, particularly the computer-delivered version of the IELTS, there was no option yet to choose the time slot. But right now, it's so convenient because upon booking, there's going to be a page where you can personally choose what particular time slot you want. If you want like a short gap between your written exams and your speaking test, that's possible. And if you want to wait a bit before you take the speaking exams, you can get rested and all, that's also possible. And you can do that upon booking. There's no need for you to worry about when you're going to have your speaking test, because it's going to be certainly something you can choose the moment you book your test.
This is the wonder if you're going to register for the exam 2 to 3 months before the test date. Why? Because you have all the time slots in the world. You have the liberty of time to decide which one best suits you. I know that most people don't want to stay at the examination venue for several hours. That's why, if you choose the morning session for the written exams, like 9 to 12 noon, best to pick 1:30 p.m. time slot or 2 p.m. time slot, so that after your speaking exam, maybe at 2 or 2:30 p.m., voila, you're good to go. No need to wait longer. But don't get me wrong, you can also book for the examination 4 days before the test date. It's just that sometimes the remaining time slots are 5:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. and you might have to wait at the examination venue longer. So what's the best recommendation? Book for your IELTS on computer 2 to 3 months before the test date. Let's move on to the next bullet point.
Well, more and more advantages for the computer-based test, and one of them is the venue. Like when I took the occupational English test one time, my venue was in Dusit Thani. It's a hotel beside MRT Ayala Station, and my speaking exam was in Holiday Inn, which was right behind Glorieta, a 2-minute walk away. But it was different, and it was my first time to experience an exam where I had to go to different locations to like take it. But in IELTS for computer, is it like that?
Well, fortunately, we are here at Niner P Campa España, Manila, the official venue of the IELTS exam in the heart of Manila. And maybe we can do some like office tour later on to show them that when they enter the door, all they have to do is to register, sit down while waiting for their turn, move to the computer lab, and then sit down again, wait for their turn, and go to the speaking room. And after that, they're done and they're free to go. So that's a nice suggestion. Maybe we can do an office tour later on, right? So that's basically the advantage when you're going to take the examination on computer. No transferring of venues. You stay in one venue in one day, and after that, you're good to go. What about the next bullet point?
It's the number of people that you're going to be taking the exam with, because my understanding is that the vast majority of the IELTS for computer test centers have a pretty limited capacity, which is great because you don't get distracted by too many people. It's intimate. And unlike in the paper delivered version, I remember when I took the IELTS, there were like, was it 100?
Yeah.
Long ago. Like, yeah. And it was fun, but you don't really want to be distracted on the very important day that you're taking the exam. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think Sir Brian is the best person to ask because he has taken both IELTS on paper and IELTS on computer. So, Sir Brian, when you took IELTS on paper, how many candidates were there inside this grand ballroom or grand function room?
Oh my goodness, that was the peak of IELTS.
True.
There were about
Those were the
300
days.
of us
Yes.
inside
Oh,
the ballroom. Can you imagine? But when I took the IELTS on computer version, there were just less than 20 of us. And in most cases, when you take your IELTS on paper, especially at Niner centers, there are probably just a maximum of 10 or even fewer people inside the room, so you could really concentrate on your test, and you can definitely perform without a lot of distractions around you.
Right.
Teaching for 17 years, I have noticed that some reviewees told us it gets to be intimidating when you're taking the exam with 200 or 300 people. You feel that you are really taking a test. And it's suffocating that way. But when you enter the computer lab and there are only 10 computer units, or sometimes there are only 6 examinees taking the test together, it's as if you're just at home. You don't feel that you are taking the examination. So, again, if you want a more exclusive setup, then it's IELTS on computer for you. Sir Phi, do we have more benefits and advantages for taking the test on computer?
So many more.
Okay, more.
There's so many more. There's so many more. And building on what we just talked about how familiar the computer-based exam is that because most of us are very familiar with computers, you're probably watching this using a computer, is that the way that you take the exam is something that you're going to be very much used to. Like individual headsets, I believe, are part of the exam. And unlike sometimes the sound system of some, not all of course, test centers, sometimes there are problems, and maybe the speakers are not the best. But if you have individual headsets, you can adjust the volume. Is that right? Hopefully they clean it. Hopefully.
They do.
Oh,
Of course.
really, really.
We are the testing center,
Oh, yeah.
so we do clean.
We clean it. We clean it. We clean it. How do we clean the headsets?
Well, they sanitize it, usually with alcohol and stuff like that. And we also wipe all of the surfaces before they take the exam. In fact, in our Makati office, we have a dedicated staff for that.
So you can be assured of the high quality of safety of taking the exam. You won't have to worry about other people using the same headset, which some people have expressed before, and you can take your exam with peace of mind. Another advantage is that some people have horrible handwriting. How is your handwriting, Sir Ervin? How would you describe your handwriting?
Mine is difficult to read.
And I'm sure you're not the only one. But if you're taking the computer-based test, that's not going to be a problem. Right, Sir Brian?
Yeah, certainly, especially if you're the kind of person who makes a lot of mistakes. Because if you edit something, it's going to be much easier to do so when you're using a computer rather than erasing using your pencil or your eraser. And it's actually easier as well when you're taking the IELTS on computer and you're just typing directly on the computer, because it's going to be much faster compared to when you're writing on paper, especially if your handwriting is really bad. You have to really work hard to get all of the letters readable, or make them at least readable or comprehensible to the examiners.
Right.
And I think the other advantages has something to do with the computer functions, like highlight, copy, paste. Can you please go through the other benefits, Sir Pheelyp?
Yeah, the other benefit is that you're able to have not only highlight and copy paste and etc., but you also have a word count. And in the IELTS exam, the word count in the writing test is very, very important. I believe there are significant penalties if you go below the word count. And in the paper-based test, you don't really have time to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to count, right?
True.
So it's like you're always bothered, did I reach it? Did I not reach it? But in the computer-based test, you have peace of mind. You know whether you made it or not.
The first criterion in writing is task achievement for task 1. In task 2, it's task response. And in the event you're not able to write the minimum number of words, chances are you're going to get 5.0 for task achievement or 5.0 for task response. So the reason why we are letting you know it's best to take the examination on computer, because all you have to do is direct your attention to the lower right-hand side portion of the screen, and it's automatically updated every time you type a new word. You don't have to get worried. Have I reached the minimum? How many more do I have to write? Because the word count is your best friend. Apart from the word count, Sir Pheelyp, do we have more?
We do. And one of the last but not the least important advantages is the timer. Because one of the most frequent reasons for people to unfortunately not get the grades that they need is they run out of time.
True.
But in the computer-based test, where is the timer in the screen, Sir
Right
Brian?
smack at the center of the screen, so you definitely see it every time you look up.
Can't miss it. Can't miss it.
Speaking of timer, candidates taking the examination are not allowed to wear wristwatches. So, if you're going to take the test on paper, then you have to look for that projector that indicates the remaining time. But for IELTS on computer, it's right in front of you. And something important that I've learned when I was sent by the British Council to Shanghai, China in December of 2017, more than 20% of the candidates cannot finish the writing subtest in 1 hour. So if that is the case, it helps if you get to see the remaining time right in front of you so that you can maximize the remaining time. You get to manage your time wisely, especially if the reminder is just inches from you. Okay,
That's
do we
it.
still have more?
I'm sure there are, but for today, I'm sure that's more than enough.
So, we would like to highlight as well that if you're going to take the IELTS on computer, there's copy-paste function. You can highlight function. In the reading subtest, there's click, drag, and drop function. All of these not available for IELTS on paper. Now, if you want us to talk if you want us to focus on something that might help you pass the IELTS, OET, PTE, TOEFL, or CELTIP, all you have to do is to use the comment section. Let us know what you would like us to talk about in our next video. But for now, we'd like to thank you for your time, and hopefully, we will be your guardians, your coaches to help you pass the IELTS on a computer. Once again, this is 9.09er, and we'll see you in our next live or video. Bye!
Bye.